The catch up, boy. On phone of grand. No, I got 4 watches, 4 chains.
That's Keef's cousin right there. Tito back in Chicago, flashing ice and making it clear he's not the one to play with. The message was simple. Anyone testing him could get dealt with. Let the family handle it. We just Chicago, man. But the reality is different now. Keef's been living in Los Angeles for years, far away from the same streets that turned deadly for people close to him. The last cousin who came back to Chicago didn't make it out. Shot on the sidewalk. 10 bullets. No arrests is the loss. Sent Keef into a spiral. And years later, a single lyric from King Von would spark even more speculation. My homie think I killed his cousin? Well, oh well. So let's talk about what just happened, because Tito is officially back. In late February 2026, a short clip surfaced on Instagram and spread across every drill page online within hours. The man in the video was Tito, real name Darren Rose, Chief Keef's cousin and a longtime Glow Gang member. He appeared to be standing somewhere on Chicago's South Side, dressed in streetwear, adjusting his hat for the camera while flexing everything he had on him. Catch up, boy. I got 4 watchers, 4 chains. And he wasn't exaggerating. Multiple luxury timepieces and heavy chains were clearly visible as he spoke. The line that ended up everywhere online was simple but loud. I got 4 watchers, 4 chains. Play with me. You gonna die? Some reposited versions included another line that people immediately connected to a rival set. Tito reportedly aimed a message towards 600, a Gangster Disciples affiliated group linked to Yob, and figures like Lil Durk. Anybody from Sikkim back? Not a might slide through. Not I'll be around. He said he's back, present tense, standing in the city, jewelry out, and attaching a direct threat to the statement. The clip quickly blew up across Instagram Reels on pages like My Mix-Up Daily Hip Hop on Demand, Squid Ape TV, and Poetic, Flacco News. It jumped over to Facebook through Plug Sounds and started circulating on X through Mimix to Pay's highlights and countless user reposts. Within hours, it racked up thousands of views, thousands of likes, and thousands of shares. As the timeline filled with reactions, for years, Tito had been spending most of his time in Los Angeles alongside Keef and other Glow Gang affiliates. He had made occasional visits back to Chicago before, but this video framed things differently. This wasn't just a quick stop in the city. It looked like a statement. A public reminder that Glow Gang still had roots in neighborhoods where their history runs deep. But that first clip was just the beginning. Soon after, a second and much longer video surfaced online, and this one left almost nothing up for debate. Tito and several people around him were hyped, speaking directly into the camera about what Glow Gang planned to do now that they were back on Chicago soil after being away for years. Someone off camera mentioned how long it had really been. 10 years. That's the number being thrown around. More than a decade since Chief Keef left Chicago behind. More than a decade since the streets that fueled his rise also brought violence to his circle. And more than a decade since Glow Gang mainly operated out of the West Coast. Now here was Tito standing on Southside pavement again, telling everyone the wait was over. We finna pop out. And in the context of Chicago drill culture, finna pop out isn't just casual slang. It carries weight. Because this isn't some random person talking, this is a direct relative of Chief Keef. Standing in a city where several people connected to their movement have lost their lives, and when someone with that history starts making statements like that on camera, the internet starts paying very close attention, announcing on camera that the crew is about to get active. The drill community caught every word, every tone, every message in that clip, and Tito is only getting started. Put the guns down, but keep on. Y'all folks pushing peaceful, but if we pushing heat, your play, your ass late. That line draws a hard line in the sand. Everybody else can push peace if they want. Glow Gang, according to Tito, they're pushing heat. And if someone decides to test them, you're already late maining. It's already over before you even realize what happened. There's nothing coded about that message. It's a direct, filmed declaration of readiness, delivered on camera and tied to a city where many of the people connected to this movement are already gone. Then he doubled down with something even darker. Get put in that suitcase. No grave. They're gonna find your body in another state.
Suitcase!
Bodies in other states. That's the kind of language that starts trending fast the moment something actually goes down. The supporters in the comment sections ate it up instantly. One fan joked, folks probably got suitcases on standby, treating it like a punchline, instead of a threat, but in a city that averages more than 600 homicides a year. Those kinds of words land very differently depending on which side of the conversation you're standing on. And Tito didn't just say it once, he repeated it. Get your car. Get your ass dropped off. Fold you up like this. Folks, put you in the suitcase. Then again, fold you up. Suitcase, dropped off somewhere. At that point it stopped sounding like metaphor. This is a man standing on camera in one of the most dangerous cities in America, repeating the same threat twice just to make sure nobody misunderstands the message. And then he brought it full circle by invoking the name that started everything. Y'all know Chicago. You know we gonna rock this. We still out here, Glory Boys. Glow Gang? Chief Keef's foundation. That's the key part. Tydo isn't just talking for himself. He's waving Keef's banner in the same neighborhoods, where Glow Gang affiliates have been shot, ambushed, and buried over the years. The reactions online split almost immediately. Glow Gang supporters said the energy reminded them of early Chief Keef days, calling it a return to that raw drill era. Others saw something different and labeled it reckless, more like street theater than strategy. Critics were even harsher, with comments saying he could easily get caught lacking in a city like Chicago if he keeps talking crazy like that. Some people joked about Key and Peele comparisons. Others questioned whether the jewelry was real, and a few said the suitcase talk was nothing but cap. But underneath the jokes, the hype, and the arguments, one comparison kept showing up again and again in every comment section across every platform. And it was the one comparison nobody in this story could ignore. The comparison that should worry Tydo the most. The last time a Chief Keef cousin came back to Chicago flashing success and money, he didn't even make it through the night. His name was Blood Money, and his story is exactly why Keef left the city and never truly returned. Blood Money's last trip tells the whole story. Keith Kuzart, known to the world as Chief Keef, came out of Parkway Gardens on Chicago's South Side and helped turn drill music into a global movement. Songs like I Don't Like and Love Sosa in 2012 made him one of the most recognizable rappers alive before he was even old enough to legally buy a drink. He launched Glow Gang, originally called Glory Boys Entertainment, filling it with family, members, Day One, friends, and affiliates connected to Black Disciples factions around the O Block area. By 2013, Keef had already begun pulling away from Chicago. The environment around him was getting too dangerous, too unpredictable. He eventually relocated to Los Angeles, and for a moment it looked like the entire circle might follow him out. Wes. One of those people was his second cousin, Mario Hess. Mario Hess went by the name Blood Money. Some people also called him Big Glow. Born February 13, 1984, he was about 10 years older than Keef, and often played the role of the elder figure. Inside the label, where Keef was the face of the movement, Hess was seen as part of the backbone. He was a father of 5 with prior felony convictions involving narcotics and weapons. But at that point, he was trying to turn everything around through music. Blood Money appeared on the Glow Gang mixtape Drug Wars in 2013, and worked with Keef on the track Rehab, which eventually pulled in more than 13 million views. Behind the scenes, he was also helping guide younger artists in the crew, acting as someone they could learn from. The industry had started noticing him as well. In early 2014, Hess signed a deal with Interscope Records, the same label. Keef was connected to and received a $50,000 advance. For someone coming out of West Englewood with his background, that kind of money represented a major turning point. His manager, Ronaldo Ruben Hess, who was also a first cousin, was already planning to move him out of Chicago permanently. The plan was simple: secure the deal, collect the money, and get out at the time. Hess had been staying in Los Angeles with Keef, working on new music and building momentum. Everything looked lined up perfectly. But then Mario Hess did something that a lot of people from the neighborhood do after catching their first real check. He went home, he returned to Chicago to celebrate the birthdays of 2 cousins, and showed love to the people who had watched him grow up. He spent time visiting family on the same blocks where he had lived his entire life. Later, relatives told reporters that he seemed uneasy before the shooting, almost like he felt something in the air. His manager had been urging him not to go back, telling him to stay in Los Angeles where things were safer, but Hess made the trip anyway. The reality about making it out of a place like Englewood is that success doesn't make you invisible. Sometimes it does the opposite, it puts a spotlight on you, and according to reports, Hess had been posting on Instagram about the deal, showing the money and the progress he had made. In a city where people watch everything online, that kind of visibility can quickly turn into a target. Real money. In a neighborhood where people are struggling just to get by, that level of visibility never goes unnoticed. One neighbor later told the media that Hess wasn't too good for the hood, even after signing his deal. That single quote says a lot about how some people around him viewed his success. The jealousy was real, the tensions were real, and the clock started ticking the moment he came back. On the night of April 9, 2014, around 9:45 p.m., Mario Hess was standing outside a family home near 56th and Elizabeth Streets in West Englewood. He was out there with relatives, celebrating, and spending time with family when everything suddenly turned violent. According to reports, possibly the gunman approached and opened fire with semi-automatic weapons, sending a barrage of bullets into the night. More than 24 rounds were fired in a matter of seconds. Hess was hit up to 10 times, mostly in the chest and torso, and collapsed on the sidewalk. A 28-year-old relative, believed to be his cousin Darnell Patton, was also struck in the abdomen but survived after undergoing emergency surgery. When police arrived, the scene was chaotic. Investigators reportedly used index cards to mark shell casings because there were too many for standard markers. Over 24 were scattered across the pavement. No weapons were recovered, and witnesses were limited, something that isn't unusual. In West Englewood, the no-snitch culture in that area runs deep. Hess was rushed to John H. Stroger Jr. Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. He was only 30 years old, a father of 5, and just weeks away from leaving Chicago permanently. Instead, he became another name added to the city's long list of gun violence victims. Police opened an investigation and reportedly looked into possible rape-related rivalries. Considering how tangled the conflicts within Chicago's drill scene, Glowgang had ongoing issues with factions linked to groups like STL and EBT. There were also rumors that Hess had been involved in an earlier incident where an Oblak member known as Semerdur was shot during a robbery connected to Kiev's home. Situations like that don't just fade away on the South Side. Scores get remembered, and debts sometimes get settled years later. Other theories focused on jealousy. A local guy lands a deal, comes back home with money, and suddenly everyone's watching. Either way, no one was ever arrested. The case remains unsolved to this day. After Hess died, rival rappers wasted little time turning his name into lyrics. FBG Wooski referenced him in his Computers remix, mocking the death for clout and streams. That's part of the harsh reality of drill culture. Someone dies, and their name becomes another bar in a diss track. And just like that, Mario Hess Blood Money, Big Low, the man who was supposed to escape, became another statistic, another funeral, another reason Chief Keef wanted distance from Chicago. Now rewind everything and compare it to what Taito just did in February 2026. Blood Money came back to Chicago with a fresh record deal and a $50,000 advance, and he was ambushed. Taito just showed up in the city wearing 4 watchers and 4 chains, calling out 600 and talking about putting people in suitcases. The parallels are impossible to ignore. The only question now is whether history decides to repeat itself. Because when the news of Blood Money's murder reached Chief Keef, it hit like a brick wall. This wasn't some distant associate. This was his second cousin, Malia Man Keef, personally brought into the music world. Someone he brought out to Los Angeles and helped position for a new life. Chief Keef's grandmother, Marguerite Kuz, later shared something Keef had told Blood Money before the deal even came through. He told his cousin, "We're not gonna rob, we're not gonna steal. I got a plan." And that plan was music. Music was supposed to be the exit door. For a moment, it actually worked until Hess went back. Keef attended Blood Money's funeral surrounded by heavy police presence. After that, he made a decision that would shape the next decade of his life. He was done with Chicago. Completely. The murder wasn't even the only warning sign. Just weeks earlier, in March 2014, his manager's home had been shot up. The message was becoming impossible to ignore. If you were connected to Chief Keef in Chicago, you were automatically a target. In a Billboard interview in August 2015, Keef described Blood Money's death as a big lesson, the kind of lesson written in blood one where there are no second chances. By June